This video's focus is on end of game procedures. As we know, that is the crucial time for most teams, and the referee crew has to be on top of their game. So we'll be looking at the overtime protocol and the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter and preceding overtimes. Then we'll look at how correctable errors are handled in that time frame of the last 2 minutes and preceding overtimes. And then we will go into the IRS system. That is at the end of the video because that's typically for higher level leagues. This is a last 2 minutes cheat sheet, which shows you all the things that will be enacted for that last 2 minutes. So if you want to freeze the video and jot it down as a little bit of a reminder before games to help you. Last 2 minutes, every time a basket is scored, we have stop time. So you always want to remind the timer when we get close to this time. And it also helps to have crew communication. Typically a crew would show 2 fingers up to show that we're at the 2 minute mark, so that we are aware that the clock should be stopped after made baskets and other things that occur in the last 2 minutes, like timeout situations and the legal boundary crossing. Not only do we have a stop clock period on made baskets in the last 2 minutes of the game of fourth quarters and preceding overtimes, but other additional protocols is our illegal boundary line signal on all throw-ins. So as you see here, we do a waving of arm up and down. Then when it comes to timeouts, if a coach has 3 timeouts, meaning they didn't use any in the second half currently, and the time goes below 2 minutes, they lose a timeout automatically, which means they have 2 timeouts total. Then additionally, they can advance the ball. There's been a change 2024 that on a made basket, they can choose on what side they want to throw it in. But if it's a foul or a violation on one side of the court or the other, they have to go the side of that court it was committed. A throw-in foul is a personal foul committed when the game clock shows 2 minutes or less in the fourth quarter and in each overtime by a defensive player on an opponent on the playing court when the ball is out of bounds for a throw-in and still in the hands of the referee or at the disposal of the player taking the throw-in. So when we talk about throw-ins, whether the referee's holding it or it's at the disposal of the player, we can have a throw-in foul. As soon as that ball leaves the hands of the player taking the throw-in, we no longer can have a throw-in foul. The penalty associated with it is 1 free throw, regardless if the offending team is already in team penalty situation, so they won't shoot 2 for penalty. And then the game will resume with a throw-in by the non-offending team from the place nearest to the infraction. In this clip, the team in the white jerseys are on offense and the ball's at the disposal of the thrower in. As you can see, the defender in the black jersey is holding and restricting the offensive player from moving. Due to this, the trail official has a foul call, and because the ball did not leave the hands of the thrower in when the foul occurred, we have a throw-in foul. We shoot 1 free throw, and then we administer a throw-in spot nearest to the infraction, which means it was on the right elbow in the key, so it's going to be on the lane line, same side of where that throw-in foul occurred. I made a table to cover the interpretations for what would happen in different scenarios when we have a throw-in and contact was made where a referee called a foul. So the categories that matter is where the ball was located when the contact was occurred, and if the contact meets the criteria of an unsportsmanlike foul, that will affect what the penalty and the outcome should be and how the referee will administer it. So if it's in the hands of the referee or at the disposal of the throw-in and it doesn't meet the criteria of an unsportsmanlike foul, then just like the previous clip showed, we have 1 free throw, and then the non-offending team has a throw-in nearest to where that foul occurred. However, if that contact meets the criteria of an unsportsmanlike foul, it is not a throw-in foul. We have an unsportsmanlike foul, depending on the criteria, category 1 or 2. We'll have 2 free throws, and we'll proceed like any unsportsmanlike foul. We'll have a throw-in at the throw-in line in the non-offending team's front court. If it left the hands of the thrower in, the throw-in foul is no longer applicable, and we just proceed as we naturally would. So if we have contact that wasn't criteria of an unsportsmanlike foul, we just have a personal foul. If the team is in penalty situation, we shoot the 2 free throws. If they're a non-penalty situation, we just administer a throw-in. If it meets the criteria of an unsportsmanlike foul, Then we go to an unsportsmanlike foul, shoot the 2 free throws, and have a thrown at the throw-in line in the non-offending team's front court. If we have a tie game at the end of regulation, which means at the end of the 4th quarter, then we go into overtime, and every overtime period is 5 minutes until we determine a winner of the game. At the start of every overtime is an AP, so alternating possession, not a jump ball. Here's a quick summary of how to set up an overtime or overtimes. We put 5 minutes on the clock. Teams still attack the same basket, so they go in the same direction of play that they ended in the 4th quarter. Timeouts do not carry over, so if they had 2 timeouts left in the 4th quarter, it does not carry over to overtime. Each team only gets 1 timeout. The fouls do carry over, so however many fouls they had in the 4th quarter, whether it's 4 team fouls, then it carries over to the overtime as 4 team fouls. So team fouls carry over, timeouts do not. If the error occurs after the game clock shows less than 2 minutes in the 4th quarter or in an overtime, it's correctable until the next stoppage in the game, which, as we know, is when the referee stops the game for any reason following that error. This next scenario is almost perfect, other than they aren't using FIBA rules because they use different rules in the States. We have the 4th quarter with under 2 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. 30 gets fouled, and he should be shooting free throws. We have a technical foul issued on maybe a player on the court. So the guard shoots the 2 free throws, that's the State's rule, and they get possession. Then the big should be going to shoot the free throws. But the guard goes back to the free throw line to shoot his teammate, number 30's, free throws. So this is permitting the wrong free throw shooter to shoot. So we are still in a correctable error window because we haven't stopped the game at any point after this error occurred. The window ends here in the stoppage. So if they don't correct it at this point before the ball becomes live again, then the correctable error period is over. The IRS has different situations that the referees can go check the instant replay system for when the game clock shows 2 minutes or less in the 4th quarter and in each overtime. So one of the situations is whether a shot for a successful goal was released before the shot clock signal sounded. The referees are authorized to stop the game immediately to review whether a successful goal was released before the shot clock signal sounded. The referees must identify the need for the review, which must take place after the goal when the referees have stopped the game for the first time for any reason. So in this clip, even though the referee waves off the shot attempt, which is correct because it occurred after the shot clock violation, if it was a situation where the basket went in after the shot clock violation and the referees didn't wave it off, once that basket's made, they can stop the game, go to the instant replay system triggered by the referees, and check if it was released after or before the shot clock signal sounded. When a foul was committed away from a shooting situation, we have 3 things we can look at. One is whether the game or shot clock had expired. So if the shot clock expired before the release of the ball, we have a shot clock violation, no made basket if it went in, and the foul's disregard unless it's unsportsmanlike in nature. Or if the game clock expired, similar scenario, game clock takes precedent, the basket if made does not count, and the foul is disregarded unless it's unsportsmanlike in nature and we have a following overtime preceding that quarter. Then we have a situation whether the act of shooting has started when the foul is committed by an opponent of the shooter. Now, like it shows here, we have a defender pushing through a screen and the act of shooting had started with the offensive player, so the basket would count and we'd have a personal foul on the defender. However, in this scenario, when we have it as a teammate of the shooter, then we have to determine whether the ball was still in the hands of the shooter when the foul was committed. Because if it was still in the hands of the shooter, that offensive foul, that team control foul by the teammate, now cancels the basket if made. So we can have an IRS whether a goaltending or basket interference violation was called correctly. Remember, you can only review if the official calls that violation. If they don't call and they go, that might have been a violation, they can't just go to the IRS and check if they missed goaltending or basket interference violation. They have to call it on the floor to be able to review it. When the review determines that the goaltending or basket interference violation was not called correctly, the game will resume as follows. So after the call, if the ball went through the basket, the goal shall not count, and the defensive team will be entitled to a throw-in from the end line. If a player from either team has gained immediate and clear control of the ball because the ball didn't go through, that team shall be entitled to the throw-in from the place nearest to where the ball was located when the goaltending/basket interference call was made. If neither team had gained immediate and clear control of the ball after the whistle was blown, a jump ball situation occurs. Lastly, you can use it to identify the player who has caused the ball to go out of bounds. So in this game clip, it actually reflects what it would look like in FIBA, where you have a fourth quarter, under 2 minutes. We have a ball going out of bounds. The official thought it goes to the Bulls. So they go to the IRS, the instant replay system, to check. And then they notice that the Bulls player actually threw it out of bounds. Because on the floor, you might not see that angle. You might have thought it might have grazed or tipped by the defender. But IRS shows from that different angle that it was thrown out of bounds by the Bulls team. So now New York, which is in orange, gets the throw-in after correctly overturning their call through IRS.